Danny Robinson, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast. How are you doing today, sir?
I am well.
Thank you so much.
I am asleep.
Oh, you're asleep. We're going to wake you up a little bit
I'm
then.
fine. Thank you. Really.
Crazy day today. It was so fun. And having us, the Breaking and Entering guys here past 2 days, it's been phenomenal. I think you already know this, but you have a really special agency and we're honored just to be a part of it for these 2 days. So thanks for having us.
Thank you. We really love that you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What did we do today? What did you do today?
A lot of things. I mean, the big thing was we had our third quarter staff meeting today.
Yeah.
Which is those of you people who have been here before, and we've had guests come in. It's a pretty big deal. Our staff meetings. Not so much a lot of business, a lot of people celebrating and work, so celebrating the work, what we do, and making sure everybody in the agency feels the love and sees the work. Yeah,
it's so important, for all employees to see work, maybe that they didn't work on it, to understand what the agency is making and that culture of being makers. I mean, how would you describe the culture here today at the Martin Agency?
We have always had we have a saying, a phrase that kind of encapsulates who we are and how we go about what we do. And it's do work you love with people you love. And that is an old mantra that has it's been the foundation of this agency and what has kept it and its culture alive for so long, that people come here with an understanding that you can do great work and still treat people kindly at the same time.
Right.
And that sounds like a simple.
Oh, it's tough. It's a stressful business equation sometimes.
Yeah,
so,
but it is. And then the belief that you can succeed without someone's expense. You can do great work and also do well while lifting up everyone at the same time.
Right. And from what I've seen in some of these conversations and looking at the industry, it is very competitive.
Yeah, sure.
You're competing against other agencies, you're competing against boutique shops that are popping up left and right. And then sometimes you're competing for your career, it seems like, internally at some moments. So it's a good reminder that, and it's nice to know that at the Martin Agency, it seems like employees are lifting each other up for the good of the idea.
Yeah, that's what it's always felt like here. Maybe part of it's because we're in Richmond.
Why? What? Let's dive into that. Let's dive into that.
I mean, I worked in New York in advertising for a while, and it's a different vibe.
Right. How would you compare the vibe of advertising in New York compared to advertising here in Richmond?
It parallels the feeling of being in New York and the feeling of being in Richmond. It's just even when I go to New York to visit, I become a different person on the street. I'm a more aggressive.
Yeah, you start yelling at some people. I'm walking here.
Yeah. So I think that carries into the building, or can. And I think it is, but I get it because you are jockeying for position all the time, everywhere.
Right.
In line, on the street.
Right.
On the sidewalk.
It's tough out there.
And into work. And unlike there, if you compare it, you come here and you bike to work or have a 4-minute commute like I do in a car. It's a lot more mellow.
See, I would worry about biking to work here because the cobblestone.
Yeah, that's only a part of it.
It's not everywhere. I've only been okay.
Well, it's a few places, but between wherever you live and here, it's probably only a block.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like I would fall off my bike.
You might.
Yeah.
That's done too.
Yeah. No, it is beautiful here. So really want to get into now how you broke into this business. So where were you at in your life? At what moment do you say to yourself, I want to make ads for a living?
When I got fired from the job that I thought I could do.
Okay.
Which I was on the client side.
Okay.
My first job out of grad school, I was on the client side.
Did you want to go client side? That was that was the mission?
Yeah. I thought I did. I thought I knew what it was.
Yeah.
And my idea of it was more about what I'm doing now than it was what I was doing then. My idea was at the start, I would have the opportunity to be more creative. turns out at the start of your job in the brand side, you are dealing with numbers and profits, and you're talking to CFOs, and you're having conversations about shelving allowances, and wasn't the thing that I probably not good at. I guess I could have figured out, but more importantly, didn't enjoy.
Got it. Got it.
And I think my boss would say I wasn't good at it, evidenced by being fired.
Hey, that adds up. I hate to say it, but
He was probably right.
So you gave up. You're saying I'm done with marketing, perhaps the marketing industry.
Well,
what were
they
you
told me I
thinking?
was done. I didn't make that decision.
What's the next steps in your life at this moment? How do you bounce back from that?
Well, what I found out, and what my boss then told me, I was good when the ad agency came to present work, and I sat in and could view work and give comments on work and feedback and understood the language. He said, you were really good in those moments. It's just the problem was that it would take me 5 years to get to the point on the client side where I could actually be the person making those decisions and influencing the work. So I said, well, can you get me interviews with ad agencies then? And we had a handful of ad agencies at the company I work with. And she said, sure. And I went home at night. I still had a job for a couple of weeks. I went and created a portfolio at night after work on the weekends. And it's okay. Here's my fake work.
Right.
That I can go
the spec
interview
work,
with.
Yeah.
Spec. That's a polite way of saying fake.
Fake work. Yeah. Hey, people are, a lot of junior talent need to make that spec work.
Yeah.
Fake
work.
That's what school is. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Sure. But there were no ad schools, graduate schools when I was 20.
Right. So you kind of did it on your own. So were people did they respect the work that you were making and receptive?
Well, they had to be, because their clients were giving me interviews. So So
that helps.
They were respectful, but I also, a couple of people talked to me, some people I would never have been able to get into their office, and saw my work and gave me real feedback and didn't think it was awful.
Okay.
And encouraging. No, none of them hired me, although I did eventually get an offer that I didn't take. And that's a complicated story, but I did get an offer from an agency. So I guess my spec book was okay.
So you got an offer. Where did you end up?
I ended up working for a small company in Pleasantville, New York.
Okay.
One of our vendors, and he was a promotion agency primarily, trying to get into advertising, heard I was quitting.
It's good.
Maybe
spin.
That's what I told him.
Yeah.
I don't remember. He heard I was leaving.
That's what I would have done.
And asked if I was interested in helping him build up the creative department in his company.
Nice.
It was fairly small, but not small. For the same amount of money I was making, as opposed to the 50% pay cut I was going to have to take at the agency that made me an offer. I said, well, maybe I should start here and see if I could actually do this with maybe the risk is less.
Yeah.
Lesson. So I took it and I stayed there for 12 years.
Nice.
Helping him build the company. Got some clients for advertising clients in the process. Helped grow the department. Hired some people, and got comfortable in the job.
Yeah. What were some of those big lessons you learned in that 12-year stint?
Well, the lesson I learned that I learned it, but I didn't do anything about it until later, until Martin, to take bigger risks, to take bigger swings at opportunities. Probably should have, if I had taken that other job for half the salary, I would have been in real advertising a lot sooner, and would have found out whether I was really good or not. And I think when I looking back, I think I took a little bit of an easy way out, but it landed me into the next thing, and then landed me at Martin. So
yeah, what was in between?
It worked.
What was in between?
While I was at that company, I got an opportunity to start an agency. Complicated story. The short of it is, one of the clients I had at that company, called the Guild Group, was married to the editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine, which was one of the two major hip hop magazines in the 90s and 2000s, still is a magazine online. He was looking for a creator to help him pitch Lear Burnett on an idea, an agency that would target the audience that were subscribing to and reading Vibe magazine and The Source. Those were the two. The Source was called the Hip Hop Bible. Vibe magazine was a slicker version, but they were the two publications out in the world that people turned to for music and fashion in the hip hop community. He got a call from Lear Burnett and said, "We need you to help find some people to help us with a Reebok client."
And what'd you say? I can do it?
I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "It's a freelance project. So I'm going to pair you up with somebody and you guys are going to pitch this thing with Lear Burnett and we're going to pay you." And I said, "Well, that's cool." I took on the freelance project, and it, probably still the most interesting thing I've ever done is that pitch. And right before the pitch, the day before the pitch, the president and chief creative officer was really involved and came to the person who ultimately became my partner. Said, "You want to start an ad agency?"
Heck yeah.
No, we didn't. We have played it very cool. So, well, let us think about it.
Oh yeah, right.
In our heads, we were like, so we said yes, and he and I, somebody I had never met before, who was put together with me was the account person. I was the creative side. Started an ad agency called Vigilante.
Yep.
And left our jobs to do that.
Love it. And how long did you do that until Martin?
That was 1998 to 2004.
Nice.
And then Martin called, and I took that call.
What was that job that they offered?
Mike Hughes was the chief creative officer, asked me, did I want to come? Well, his words were, quote, was, "What would it take to get you to come to Martin?"
Ooh, I like that. I like that question.
like that too.
Yeah.
But my answer was, I'm working already at an agency that I started. I don't know that I'm looking to go to any other agency. But it was an intriguing question, and the things he talked about wanting me to come help do was interesting to me. And I'd spent 8 years commuting from Connecticut to New York and not seeing my kids a lot. And it was a grueling days,
right,
and nights. And so he caught me at a good or a bad day, depending on what side of the field you're on.
Right.
So I entertained it, and I came back. We had lunch in the city, and then I met him again. And then he brought John Adams, who was the president, to the lunch and asked the same question. I had written the answer on a piece of paper, a number.
Nice.
Very movie-like.
Yeah.
I slid it across the table.
Wrote it on the table. I think that was like the Elvis movie. I wrote the number on the table.
Yeah. This was before Elvis movie. So I didn't know Elvis did that. I've seen it before, though. I slid it across the table.
Yeah.
And he opened it, and he didn't flinch. And then I realized the number wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
That was the danger.
Yeah.
To me, it was very big.
Oh, hey, that's
certainly big enough.
Right.
And I would have been happy with it, but
that's the worst. And you're like, yeah, that's okay.
Bigger.
Well, they could have laughed like, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, they could have. Mm-hmm. They didn't. That would have made me. I would have at least said, "Well, here's another number."
Yeah.
They just didn't do anything.
That's so smart. Hey.
So then it meant I'd have to decide whether I wanted to go to Martin or not, because they ostensibly said, "Okay."
Right.
I guess we know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Here I am.
So looking at your career, I really want to focus in on what are the top pieces of advice you would give for anybody listening or watching if they wanted to break into the Martin agency. Like what are those qualities that you look for when you're hiring? Yeah. Let's start with a junior creative or mid-level, like early creative.
Well, the good news is I don't hire anymore, so they don't have to worry about me. But when I did, I mean, I don't hire anybody. No. You know, people who do the work hire.
Yeah.
For creatives, for junior creatives, it's going to always be first. What work can you show? If you've been to an ad school, what does your portfolio look like? If you haven't been to an ad school and you're an undergrad, you went to undergrad and maybe advertising was a minor or you have interest, What spec work can you show? Or what work did you take on for the, this used to be true a while ago, and it may be still true. You ask your dry cleaner to, can you do a campaign for free so I can have real work in a book, and or your bar that you attend. So work has to be the first thing.
Yep.
Because that's what we're hiring you to do. And if you don't show the ability to do that, it doesn't matter what else. I don't think it matters really what else you can do. At least show a hint or a spark of that. The second thing is really so far down the list from that.
It's good to know.
But it is the same kind of things people look for in almost any job that's similar to ours. When they talk about the agency and maybe advertising, when they talk about the agency, how do they talk about it? Do you really feel like they want to be here or want to be somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Has that person done their homework? Can they talk about, have they gone to our website? Can they talk about the work we've done? Have they dug in on LinkedIn and read about the person that they're interviewing? All that's, I mean, showing that you really are interested in being here. I mean, there are so many stories about people who have actually, it happened. You missed that. One of the people who presented themselves is the head of business affairs. And he told a story that he, out of school, I think he said his cousin drove him by the agency, giving him a tour and pointed to Martin and said, "That's the best ad agency in the world." And he said, "That's kind of cool." And he started being interested, and he interviewed 12 years ago and finally got hired. Adrienne Wright, who is now head of talent and culture, has told a story. She's always saw the building. She lives here. She's always wanted to work here. That's the place I want to be.
She said that today to us. Yeah.
And if you, you can feel that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that. I mean, it doesn't have to have that kind of story.
Yeah.
But it'd be great to know that you are interested in working here, not just in advertising. That helps.
Yeah.
And you couple those two things. You couple ability to show how you think and how you work and how you might present, that you took an interest in the agency and know us. Those two things go a long way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love it. And what are some of those qualities that you look for in a potential client? Top qualities.
Yeah, we are always looking for clients who have a shared ambition.
Mm-hmm.
When we say we're fighting invisibility, and work has to be seen, and that means work has to not be wallpaper, and that means you have to be willing to do some things that might be scary to you, or
right.
But to put work out into the world that people pay attention to, it's really, really hard, because there's so many things that you can look at and people pay attention to, and to get your attention and to make you interested. And it takes a lot more than it used to. So we are looking for clients who, at least in those meetings, talk the way we would talk about what work needs to be and what business is. And that's the start. When we're new business, we are as much interviewing them as they are interviewing us. And we said, gosh, we've had clients to say, we don't have the ambition you have, so we don't think it would be a good idea. And that's, I appreciate clients saying we might want to get to where you want us to be, and we might get there one day, but we can't do that now. So now isn't the time.
Yeah. I love that transparency though.
Yeah, I do too. And we sometimes say the same thing. It's we think we have something and want to do something that we're not sure that you want to do. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If they can get there, great. If they can't, we sometimes say it doesn't make sense for us to get into a relationship when we know at the beginning of the relationship we are in different places.
This is just good relationship advice in general.
It's the same as dating.
Yeah.
I need this. Been the same.
We should do another segment, a whole other podcast.
I don't think things are funny. I think everything is funny. Bad start. A client who wants to not be seen and is uncomfortable.
It's a red flag.
Pushing, well, then we're not the agency for you. But there are enough brands out there, enough clients out there who come to us for what it is we stand for, who see the work out in the world, which sometimes it's weird to me that we have to explain to a new client why they should hire us when there's 50 years. It's 50 years of work. We could just look at the stuff that we do. Do you want to do stuff like that? If you do,
we're the
cool.
place.
If you don't, it's probably not why I have the conversation.
Love it. Well, I appreciate this conversation, Danny. I feel like we got a lot of great information. We've explored the Martin Agency. We broke down what it's like to be here, to work here. So I just want to thank you again for having us and taking the time.
It is my pleasure. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to hear what people have said to you.
Oh yeah, we'll show you all.
I know who you talk to.
We'll give you all the unedited content too.
Wonderful. I appreciate it.
Cool, Danny. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.